Hi, I'm Josh from FlexPerts, and today I'm going to be showing you how to set up roles-based access to your data and your app in FlutterFlow. If you like more of this type of tutorials and content, or you need help with anything in your app, just want to have some coaching sessions, please subscribe to our YouTube channel at FlexPertsDev and check out our website. Anyway, so down to the nuts and bolts. I got a fresh project here that I'm going to be working on, and this came in question from one of the viewers of our channel. And I think it's a great one because I get asked this a lot, which is how do I basically set up my app so that I can have admin users or premium users or regular users and have them see different types of content, be able to interact with different features of my app. And where do I start? How do I do that? There's no option for that in FlutterFlow. It's true there's no option for it, but that's because actually what you can do with FlutterFlow is much more powerful than in any other sort of app builder where you've maybe had the ability to do user groups. So where do we start? The first thing is to think about, obviously, what your use case is. So we're going to do a few simple ones here. And basically how we're going to structure our data. That's the first place to start. So as I said, this is a blank collection, blank app. And what we've got here is a users collection. And this is where we're just going to keep it simple. And we're going to have this. And we're going to do most of the stuff in there. The second collection that we're going to create is we're going to create one for the groups. This isn't always necessary, but we're just going to do it sort of for illustration purposes. And then a third one, which we're going to call, let's say, blogs. Yeah. So in this, I should have thought of this before, but in this scenario, basically, we have blogs that are the main content, and we've got premium blogs and free blogs. And then admins, we want to be able to edit blogs or potentially upload a new blog, or to be able to do different things in your app. So these are basically our three different collections. Users is for users. Groups is literally just going to define what the groups are. And then the blogs, which is a collection of blog posts. So we'll start it by going ahead and creating the data structure for the blogs. This is normally where I think is the best place to start. So I always do these three fields on every single collection, whether I need them or not. It's just kind of like muscle memory. And it just means I always have a place to start. And that's created time, user, and UID. UID now in FlutterFlow is a little bit unnecessary because you can actually get that directly from the user document. But sometimes it's just easier to query with a string. Okay, so what else is going to a blog have? It's probably going to have, this is another field I do automatically for all of my collections. What is notifications? So much for doing a nice video view without distractions. 2 seconds. Cool. Sorry about that. So blog ID. This is something I do for every collection. I give it always the same name just so it's consistent. So it would be groups ID, blog ID, account ID, whatever it is, post ID. And basically I set up a cloud function to create an ID, which is not the document ID. It's just a unique value that is going to be assigned to this. I create it on every document from the document ID automatically. And it just, again, makes it easy if you need to query for a specific document. Sometimes it's easier to work with strings than with document references. Okay, so now we actually get to the real meat. What is a blog going to have? A blog is going to have a title. That's going to be a string value. It's going to have, let's say, a image, which is going to be an image path, which in FlutterFlow are just string values, but it considers them differently to help you out. And then it's going to have a main text. Yeah, this must be very boring blogs. Again, you'll notice I use these naming conventions, underscores. This is entirely personal preference, but whatever you choose, just stick with it. Okay, cool. So this is the basic how we would set up a blog. Now let's go into groups to get this overview. Again, when I build stuff, I normally build in circles. And the reason I do that is Google is talking to me in my head. The reason I do that is just how I think, how my brain works. It doesn't mean it's the right way. It's just my way. But in general, I kind of go around in circles. But from the start, what do I want to achieve? And then work backwards to some data, then go do some UX, then back to data, and kind of back and forth, back and forth. So again, we're always doing these three fields. These are, in this case especially, going to be entirely almost irrelevant. Just do them for the sake of consistency. And because sometimes, at least they're nicely alphabetized. Okay. And then the fourth one, we should say it's 3 now, 4 now. Group ID. So what is a group going to have? It's basically going to have a name. And you could keep in here a list of users, like group, let's say members, yeah, which is going to be a list of, let's say, document references. In reality, this is often not a great approach. It depends. If you've got three if you've got three like admin, editor data, I would say definitely don't do this. But if you've got small little groups, with 10 people or something, this can be a good approach. But not if you're going to have thousands of users in this single document. And then we basically got a user. And so what we want to do here is just give this a string value for group. Great. So this is going to be define whatever group they are in. Now for a blog, what we're going to do is we can do this two ways, essentially. If a blog is only viewable to one group, we can just have this as a single, so it could be viewable to members in this. But in this use case, what's actually going to be better is to do a list, and I would call this groups. You can also call this, actually this might be better. Let's call this permissions. And so this is essentially going to be a list of strings. And so if a blog is able to be viewed by admins, by editors, and by premium users, by free users, and by admins, then you're going to have three values for each blog in there, which is going to define who can see it and who can't. But then again, we also obviously have the actual group in the users table to compare the two, and then also for when we're designing the UX. So let's move on to the UX now. So on this page, what we're going to do is really simply, I'm going to put a button just in the top. Yeah. So let's let's do it in the column. So I'm just going to design here a row, and then actually, you know what? Let's cheat. Let's use the templates because that's going to be faster. Unlike other YouTubers, I'm not prepared, and so often I use templates. Theme widgets, templates. If you've never built anything before and you're looking to try to understand like how to build stuff, this is actually a really good place to start. These are all these are from another project. Okay, here we go. Components, add component. Here we go. This is what I was looking for. So let's do a header and make a header something like card views. Actually, no. Maybe I can cheat and just use an entire page. Content. Is there some blog? List. For election. Should I cut out this content? Or do you like watching me mess around? It shows that not everybody knows everything. There must be some. Oh, here we go. There, those look like blogs, right? So we're going to call this blogs. Let's just call this blog list. Okay, cool. I always like to do this. First person reference. Great. So basically we've got, like, let's say this is the main page of our app, and it's got a whole bunch of blogs which apparently have prices on them. Let's say it's a travel blog about how much this cost and how much they spent. Okay, cool. And what we want is we want premium users to be able to see the ones that are only available to premium users, and we want the admin to be able to delete a blog or hide a blog or some other UX feature. So let's do that first. So in our roles-based permission, we're going to wrap this here in a row, and we're going to add into the row an icon. Just do an icon button. Spread them out. Make it so it's more visible. I don't know why it's not so easy. Fill color. Make it nice and big. Okay. And then the icon, we'll make that white. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're going to call this the, let's say this is the settings button. This is, remember, this is a button that we want to be only available to admins, yeah? And so that's a really simple use case. Most people probably already figured that out. Done it a million times. So what we want to look here is a simple condition on the visibility. And we're looking for, is the authenticated user, is their group equal to admin? And you have to decide now at this point whether you're going to use capital letters for your first letter. I'm just going to do them like this. Actually, no, I will do it with capital letters. And the default value we're going to set here is to false. If you're setting default values, make sure you click it twice so you see the red. Cool. So that means now only the admin can use that button, and we would maybe use it for a navigate to the special admin page or something. Okay, great. So now what we got here is a bunch of blogs, and we want to generate these from a list. So what I'm going to do here, we're going to go ahead and do a backend query collection, blogs, list of documents. And what we want to do is filter by groups, or permissions we call it, sorry, permissions. Array contains, and then authenticated user group. And then we want to order them by maybe created time. Decreasing means newest first. And there you go. Now, only the blogs will be visible if the user is in the group. So let's do one final thing, which is just to create an example blog post, because the screen recording is not going to switch over. I don't think I can stop it. Okay, well, that's not good. But essentially, yeah, when you create each blog post, you need to create it with the exact permissions that you want to be seeing it. So for every blog, it will have its own set of who can see this. Each time you query it, you're just showing the ones for the people who can see it. And that's it. That's how you create role-based permission group access to content and your app in FlutterFlow. If you enjoyed this content and want to see more of it, please subscribe. If you need any help with your apps, want to do some coaching sessions, you can always contact us at flexperts.dev. And I'll see you next time.